talking about one of my own campaign settings? Let's give it a try. Hello there everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Here to do something a little bit different today because I put up a poll asking what you all would think about me talking a little bit more about the setting that I had used as an example in the last episode, talking about how to set up a red herring, how to deceive and misdirect your players when you're putting together a story that involves a decent amount of cloak and dagger kind of skullduggery. And that was by having a lawful evil NPC and have them doing lawful evil things. You know, they have rules for thee but not for me kind of an attitude. They're at the top of some aspect of a power structure, whether they're a king, prince, duke, merchant lord, crime lord. In any way, shape, or form, these are people with power who benefit with the power structure as it exists. And of course they are going to be doing awful, evil things. They're maintaining their power, even if nothing is technically illegal, even if they're just tyrannical rulers. That's still going to be more than enough reason for the players to fight against them. And they're going to feel convinced that they're on the right track for this adventure, that they're stopping all of these heinous, nefarious things that have been going on. But come to find out at the climactic encounter with this NPC that no, they're not actually the real threat, and in fact, possibly even in fact, depending on how you want to skew or write up your story, they may have actually been trying to fight against this shadowy other as well. So now the players have other choices in front of them. Deal with this threat in front of them now because they are absolutely going to be a problem later, or join forces with them, use whatever resources they have left to go after this other person, this other force that has been causing all this harm and destruction. So this lends itself pretty well to, I would argue, a very compelling campaign where the players are going to be kept a little bit more on the edge of their seats than normal. And as was pointed out, you do need to tailor this kind of a storytelling style to your players because no two groups are going to be quite exactly the same, and even then, campaign to campaign, character to character, maybe your players lean a little bit more into role-playing different personality types. Maybe they role-play in a way where they are still trying to consciously, mechanically make good decisions, make sound decisions, or maybe they're the kind of player that, yeah, they could make those decisions, they're aware of those decisions, but they're gonna lean into more the role-play aspect and try to be somebody else a little bit more and make decisions that this character would, not necessarily the most logical or sound decisions. It just depends. But this kind of story definitely can be a lot of fun, and that's kind of the premise that I had for this whole campaign setting here, was a lot of room and opportunity for all the cloak and dagger back alley dealings kind of thing, while still allowing the players to engage in all kinds of combat if they so chose. So where does this where does this overly talked about now story take place? This takes place out in the elemental wilds, also called the vestiges. This is where the forge of creation was shaped. This is where the crucible of the material plane was shaped. This is on the borders of the elemental plane of earth, fire, and air, and is not very closely bordered or touched on by the elemental plane of water. This is where the first earliest gods came together to shape their anvil and begin taking the raw materials of these elemental planes to create the material plane of existence. Here they shaped worlds with earth and molten cores, the air helping to fuel and stoke the fires as they've shaped each world and then would turn and quench it in the waters of the elemental plane of water. And then they created the material universe, and then motes of creation were left behind, which interacted with the elemental planes of earth and fire very interesting and sometimes incredibly stabilizing ways, giving rise to all sorts of unique things. And here, some of the first and earliest, oldest earth elementals were in existence. And after creation was forged, and after some time had passed, after time came into existence as a concept, Asmodeus arrived. Asmodeus arrived to collect his own motes of creation to shape the 9 hells later, and also To serve as his badge of office, he did battle with and slew the eldest and first earth elemental, ripping from its chest its beating ruby heart that now sits atop the ruby rod, his badge of office, his symbol of supreme tyrannical authority. So now, with this elder earth elemental slain, partially sunken into the earth, with the cavernous wound in its chest exposed, other earth elementals arrive to guard its body, to guard its ears and mind, so that it's not disturbed by other planar visitors looking to seek out any vestiges of wisdom during its increasingly rare moments of consciousness. The town of Stone's Folly would be founded in its chest. Why would it be founded here? Because adamantine ore is one of the rarest substances in all of the material planes. It's slightly less so on the elemental plane of Earth, and here at the Anvil of Creation, in the elemental wilds and the vestiges, it's slightly less so, particularly in part to the motes of creation that, again, create little random spots of stability, or can be directed and shaped by those with the ability to do so, which, still working on the rules on for it, but it sounds like a very, very fun way for players to do their own bit of base building in a different way. Anyhow, going on, Stone's Folly was built to serve as a central mining town hub. This is where kind of the Old West influences come in, because this is, as far as locations go, incredibly remote, incredibly difficult to, in large part because of an accord struck between the Nine Hells, the lawful evil realm, the Heavens, the lawful good realm, Elysium, the chaotic good realm, Mechanus, the lawful neutral realm, and then just the general smattering of different mortal organizations and other planar factions that might be visitors here but are not signers to the accords. Why would they sign an accord? Well, because adamantine ore, being the rare substance that it is, being the rare resource that it is, on top of the motes of creation also being valuable in and of themselves, this accord is struck to prevent massive all-out warfare happening here. Why would they want to stop that? I mean, Heaven and Elysium, they fight against the Nine Hells pretty regularly. They can't afford to divert these resources elsewhere from other planar fronts across the myriad planes, honestly, including the material plane. So, in order to avoid having to do that, they have an agreement so that everybody can get at least a slice, a share of the ore that could be mined, a portion of the motes of creation that can be collected. And so the Nine Hells oversee this place. They oversee it because everybody grumblingly agreed that the Nine Hells would be the most fairly unfair to everybody. And the Nine Hells, well, they get a little slice of everybody else's work. They get a percentage of all the profits and resources that come through, so they don't have to send their servants, their cultists, their fiends out to do any actual mining. They just see to the security of the town, and everybody else also contributes to the security, but it is primarily the domain of the Nine Hells. And because this is generally regarded as neutral territory, the fiends here overall, the Nine Hells, they tend to be just a little bit less tyrannical, if for no other reason that they don't want to provoke their neighbors. They don't actually want to goad anybody into any kind of untowards or scaling up levels of violence. Because, well, one, they're gaining resources without having to expend a lot of their own. They're also able to do a lot of information gathering. So are their enemies, sure, but this is where all that clandestine work really comes in, where people could be forging documents, people could be mislabeling shipments, they could be smuggling, they could be assassinating different targets. They could be trying to forge diplomatic relations, smooth things over, try to build their own legitimate businesses. The opportunities for play here for the players are, I hope, and what I'm working to do, kind of endless for DMs and players alike. I want this to be something that could be built and twisted into just about anything that you would really want it to be used for. So, That's why this agreement is in place, to prevent all-out fighting on yet another front that would divert resources from the Blood War, from other planar factional fighting, so that way everybody can get a little bit of something out of this place. Now, how do the players get involved here? Well, because ideally the players are what I picture as mortal. How do they get here? Well, what I have been working on writing in is you start off with the doomed scenario, like a city under siege, a town under siege, a caravan being attacked, whatever it is. Things have gone bad fast. It's all pear-shaped. It's getting ugly real fast. The walls have been breached. The caravan's been the wagon circle has been tipped. Everything's breached. Everybody is going to die, or is most likely going to die, until a Herald of the Nine Hells approaches. Maybe it's an aspect of Asmodeus, maybe it's another Archfiend's aspect, maybe it's just a high-ranking fiendish official with the authority to make the offer to the players. Say, hey, we've noticed that you have a bit of talent here, but the thread of fate is about to be severed for you. This is your opportunity to keep that tied off. You can come with me, perform a service, maybe 2 services, we'll see, help us maintain order in this place. Your souls will not be forfeit, because this is valuable enough for them that they're willing to forego souls in this instance, that having mercenaries essentially coming over, indentured workers coming over to help take care of other problems that they can't really directly have their hands tied to by any of their ranking officials or ranking soldiers, marshals, whatever you want to call it. They want quick, cheap, but effective fighters and problem solvers to come over and take care of this. And after that, contract's done. Whatever that contract might be, whether it's claim jumpers attacking different mining camps from the different factions. Can't have that happening, because sure, bandits and raiders are likely. Anywhere there's a buck to be made, you're going to have bandits showing up. You're going to have smugglers showing up. You can't have them cutting into the profits or upsetting this really delicate balance and causing everything to explode. So you bring in outsiders to deal with these other outsiders, get rid of them, and then boom, now they can go off and do whatever. Maybe the players then, after performing their service or services, they become smugglers, or maybe they want to run for office or join the marshals, the city guard. Maybe they want to join one of the other planar factions. Maybe, because this place is so far from the elemental plane of water, and this makes water a rare resource that's imported in rather than exported, maybe they join one of the water guilds, or maybe they join one of the water smugglers, and they look to make a profit that way. And also, joining one of these interplanar caravans that's capable of bouncing between the different elemental planes, maybe this is their way to buying their ticket home or working their ticket home. Maybe they just want to go straight back home through one of the great gates or portals to get back to their world and undo whatever wrongs were done to them, avenge their town, their caravan, avenge their city, because now, well, they're coming away more experienced, more capable, and probably with some interesting toys or equipment in their inventories now. So you could do this as like a short gap kind of a thing, or make this a long running campaign, however you want to do this. And really, there's all kinds of opportunities here. Like, you could have different, like I talked about base building before. I'm going to build other locations, mines that have been made stable using modes of creation, using the I haven't come up with a name for it, but I want to work on a class for this first edition Pathfinder setting that involves using a lot of these modes of creation, taking the modes of creation into yourself so that you have more sway over creating and shaping things. Not quite sure how to structure it yet, but figuring that out. But basically, because you have these people are going to be in demand, especially in a plane like the elemental plane of earth or fire, where things can be constantly shifting, growing, collapsing. Earthquakes, rock slides, lava flows, all of these different disastrous things that could happen that are held at bay by these rare and incredibly valuable elemental shapers that are able to make areas of stability. So you could have entire ranches springing up that are heavily dependent on the water cartels bringing in this precious resource to feed their cattle, whatever that cattle might be, whatever interplanar creatures that they're able to that they're able to have as hardy creatures that are able to survive this plane with the meager resources, and being able to uh, bring back those cattle for slaughter at whatever place might be in the town of Stone's Folly to make their profits, or exporting these rare foodstuffs to all these different places across the plains, because, well, let's face it, and a herd animal grown in an exotic place. I mean, I can imagine a lot of wealthy people who would be willing to pay through the nose to get a roast of that, get a few steaks or anything like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here, and there's a lot that you could really do with this. But I could really talk in circles here. I mean, Merchant's Row I've been working on. I have the Iron Arms Smithy, Olhana's Handguns, the Wandering Vault, the Weights and Measures House, Good Fillers General Store, Tolthak's Cheesery, the Brews Brothers Brewery. Lots of different things that I've been working on here, and it feels like, I really feel like I came up with something good here. This is something I want to put together, to finish, to make available, to have, you know, I'm thinking of like putting it out for sale, but not for anything like super expensive, because I don't want to gatekeep people out. Hell, I'm considering putting it out as a free PDF with an option to pay. But we'll see where we go. We'll see where we land. I've got to actually finish the damn thing first. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Did it inspire you in any way? Does this sound like something fun that you would play? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit those like or dislike buttons, honestly, because this is my first time trying something quite like this, talking about, a campaign setting like this to this degree in detail. So yeah, absolutely. Please let me know your thoughts, good, bad, indifferent, critiques, or otherwise. And if you've made it this far, you must have enjoyed something, so why not go down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and good gaming to you all, and you all have yourselves a good night.